If there was a YouTube rewind this year, I imagine the bulk of the content would be apology videos. There have been more apology videos in 2023 than there have been apologies throughout the last 100 years of our species combined. And just like my age, that number only keeps going up. It's crazy just how common of an occurrence this is. And today we're going to look at a pretty rare one. This is the shiny Pokemon of apology videos. This one's not from a YouTuber or an internet content creator. It comes from two celebrities that I know all of you have seen before. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
So what are they saying I'm sorry for? What whoops-a-daisy blunder did they make? And I'm sorry to say this, sports fans, because it's not some kind of silly mistake. It's not like they gave like a hot take on anime and got dogpiled on Twitter for it or anything. What they did is actually pretty deplorable. They, as well as many others, were requested to write letters to a judge in regards to the Danny Masterson rape case. I actually didn't even know this was going on. I only just learned about this. Danny Masterson of That 70s Show fame, a show that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were a part of for a very long time, has just been sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for 2 out of the 3 counts of rape that he was facing. Danny Masterson was arrested in 2020, and this trial's actually had a lot of developments to it that I was just completely unaware of, but it's concluded now for the most part, and he was found guilty for 2 out of the 3 counts of rape that he was facing. And then it came out that Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, and about 50 other people wrote letters to the judge of the sexual assault trial to just say nice things about Danny Masterson. I guess the idea was to try and hype him up as like, look at all these positive experiences we had with Danny Masterson. Inside Danny, there are 2 demons, a rapist and an incredible actor with a bright smile that could light up a room. And it's important that we don't overlook that second one. Let's focus on all these great experiences we had with Danny Masterson that we knew. You know, Mr. Hyde was a bad guy, but Dr. Jekyll, he was great. So, like, I guess the idea here was to try and get the judge to be a little bit more lenient or something, like to try and help Danny's case by just saying nice things about the Danny they knew. So an excerpt from Ashton Kutcher's letter says, "Danny takes his job seriously. He is kind, courteous, and hardworking. He treated everyone from the grips to the teamsters to the actors to the caterers as equals. As a role model, Danny has consistently been an excellent one." A great role model to rapists, maybe. What the fuck is this? This is just an absolutely evil thing to say about somebody like this. What? How delusional can you be? He took his job seriously. He even said good work to one of the caterers. I'd never seen such a saint on the That 70s Show set. To look at a caterer and actually engage in small talk blew my mind. I'd never seen anyone so sweet. He was truly a benevolent angel. A great role model if you just ignore all of the rape stuff. Like, holy shit. What in the world? What in tarnation? And Mila Kunis called him an amazing friend, confidant, and above all, an outstanding older brother figure. His genuine concern for those around him and his commitment to leading by example make him an outstanding role model and friend. Yucky. Yucky. An older brother figure, and still, she's echoing the same thing, a great role model. He just got convicted of rape, and it's not like this is a case with like a lot of holes in it and it was like some kind of fishy investigation or something. Like this is a pretty cut and dry case. The only reason it took 3 years is because there is a lot of interesting stuff that may or may not have been going on with Scientology being involved. I don't like to even mention that word because that's a very scary thing to even bring up. Mentioning Scientology is like mentioning Voldemort in the real world. But perhaps there were, you know, a few Tom Riddle diary exchanges that led to some shady shit going on throughout this case, at least from what I've read so far. This isn't something where you would see all of the evidence, see the verdict, and start wiggling your finger like, no justice wasn't served here. Unless, of course, you're part of Danny Masterson's team, who's saying that they got it wrong and they plan to do everything they can to overturn it and all that shit. But, like, as someone who was a friend of him, you should see this and be like, oh, this is fucking revolting. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I was friends with an absolute monster. And then you would not go up to bat for them. Like, you wouldn't start speaking to the great character of Danny Masterson. It's just incomprehensible to me. I couldn't imagine doing that. If my best friend in the world, someone I grew up with, someone I consider a brother, was just arrested and convicted of rape, I would not be singing his praises. I wouldn't be spreading the gospel about what an amazing guy he is, right? I wouldn't write a letter to the judge, even if I was requested to do so by his family, and say something like, listen, I dislike sexual assault as much as the next guy. That's some bad stuff. Rape, boo, don't like it. But he never raped me. So he's not all bad. And also, we used to butt chug brewskis in the bathtub together at the frat house. Like, this is a good guy, and it's just something to consider maybe when you're looking over this and deciding on sentencing. Like, I would not be trying to say anything positive about the person. So obviously, this made a lot of people upset to see them do that. It's craziness. So I'll finally get to the apology video now, but I feel like we needed all of this in order to understand why they're apologizing, what exactly they're apologizing for.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
But you also support your friend, even after all of the rape evidence was being put on trial. Like this, I'm very curious now how much they knew about him. Like, did they know all of this? Because they don't seem necessarily surprised, and they seemed more than willing to write these glowing letters that seem like fucking 5-star Yelp reviews of this guy. Like, even with all of this evidence of the sexual abuse, they're still calling him an outstanding role model, an older brother figure. Like, holy shit. I understand they've been friends for 2 decades, so I guess when Danny Masterson's family reached out to request that they write a letter, gushing grannies over how cool Danny Masterson is, they should have said no. They should have just hard rejected that on the spot. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, I haven't passed the bar, but I don't think this is some kind of obligation they had to fulfill here because there were other people that didn't write letters about Danny Masterson. But let's assume they were forced to. You can still say, I was one of Danny Masterson's best friends. I didn't know this side of him. I didn't know he was an evil person, so I don't feel comfortable saying anything nice about my experience with him. Full stop. Like, that could just be the end of it.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
How rotted and corrupt is the brain of a Hollywood drone? Like a Hollywood fucking clout zombie. I can't even begin to try and process how their noodles work. How can you just say that so nonchalant like it's not a big deal and not just fucking diabolical? They knowingly wrote these character letters to give the judge a full understanding of the situation to consider when giving his sentencing to Danny Masterson. So they knew that this was going to be used to try and get lighter sentencing for a man who committed heinous crimes. How do you sleep at night like that? Like after doing that? I don't get it. Like, a lot of people wrote letters, of course, it's not just these two, but these two are the most public figures about it. But I imagine they called anyone that ever even crossed Danny Masterson's path, like, hey, it's me, Tim Clifford. I was Danny Masterson's 3rd grade math buddy. We played together on the kickball squad, and he was a superstar. One of the finest kickball players the East Coast had ever seen. Thanks for reading. And the judge would be there, scratching his chin. I didn't consider that he might have been very good at kickball. Maybe we shouldn't be so harsh on him. Like, I understand it's not just these two. Like, everyone wrote these letters, and I guess they all understood that it was supposed to help Danny Masterson maybe get a lighter sentence. I just don't know how you can do that. Like, in good conscience, it makes no sense to me. You shouldn't want a convicted rapist to get a lighter sentence for the crimes.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read. And not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that.
Hey guys, we were just being super evil behind closed doors, and it's a real shame you guys had to see this side of us. We were hoping you weren't going to notice. This was really meant for the judge's eyes only. We don't want to re-traumatize victims. We just want to make sure the person that victimized them gets the lightest sentence possible for the crimes. And I like how they immediately go into an argument no one's making, like, our letters weren't meant to undermine the legitimacy of the claims. I don't think anyone's claiming they were. Your letters are there to serve as a way of trying to help your friend get a less long, less severe sentence for some absolutely evil shit they did. Which is very bad. It's still horrible.
And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
Man, unfortunately, they didn't even do the apology video classic cliche of saying thank you before signing off. You didn't even thank us for watching the apology video? Are you serious? Do you have no manners at all? But yeah, you care so much about the victims of these horrible things, and yet for some reason, a person who was actively engaging in these crimes, you decided to write really nice things about to try and help them. That's really weird. It's hard to believe you now, after all of this. It's just a fucked up situation. Danny Masterson is getting justice, which is the most important thing. But how the fuck could so many people around him willingly just write nice letters about him to try and actively help him in this case? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. I'm sure most of you know by now, I love watching bad YouTuber apologies, and they're all horrible. I swear to God, the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's appear more emotional than the fucking YouTubers when they're apologizing. It is the goofiest shit in the world, but that has nothing on TikTok apologies. They're in a totally different dimension, a realm all of their own. It's like everyone on TikTok has been trained by Tommy Wiseau when it comes to acting. Like, it literally sounds and looks like NPCs in Skyrim communicating. Like, there was a dude who got outed as like a child predator or something, and his apology, his response video was him reading off of note cards like he was in middle school class giving a presentation on like chemical bonds. And he's just sitting there, he's like, yes, I did this, but doesn't mean you can be mean to me. Flips. Please stop being mean to me. Flips. Like, it's fucking crazy. So recently, about 5 or 6 months ago, a massive TikTok star named Sienna was accused of sexually assaulting another TikTok star named Jack Wright. There were videos that came out that showed Sienna doing questionable things to Jack Wright's body while he was unconscious, and there's just a lot of evidence that led to these allegations against her. And recently, like 5 or 6 days ago, he made a video finally going over everything, and it's really sad. It is really just a very sad, awful situation. And I actually knew about this about 5 or 6 months ago because she released the worst apology video I think I've ever seen. And I don't say that lightly. I feel like I say that every time a new apology video comes out, but somehow they just keep getting worse. And I don't think anything's gonna beat Sienna May's. She took it down today, unfortunately, so the only way I'm going to be able to show it to you is when we watched it on stream, twitch.tv/moistcritikal. Come stop by, put a few extra inches on your penis, put a link in the description. So I'm going to show you that and then go over it a bit further. So I do remember her because Mr. Beard made a video on her apology. We even watched the apology on stream. She's the one that did the interpretive dance. I'm young and did nothing wrong. With the sexual assault allegation. I remember her now.
I decided to take a month off of social media due to the negativity surrounding my platform. It was honestly one of the most difficult times in my life for many reasons. But through struggle, I found clarity within myself and with who
And then
I
she
want
hits
to
a
become.
Gangnam Style here in a
My purpose
minute.
in this life is
Right away, I love how she says taking a month off social media was the hardest time in her life. What a privileged life to live where that's your biggest struggle. You can't go on TikTok for a month. Fuck. What a nightmare. You'll soon notice this isn't really an apology video, it's just like a ballet recital. She doesn't really say sorry for anything at all, and she makes herself the victim in the situation. Like, I had to take a whole month off social media. I just needed to clear my head from all the negativity, which I didn't deserve.
to create. And whether that's silly TikTok dances or showing unedited photos of myself, creating and inspiring, now more than ever, I feel proud of the person that I am. Even if I can only inspire one person, I will have done what I was put on this earth to do.
Yeah, this is all very inspirational. It's motivated me to climb a mountain. But what does it have to do with anything at all? I mean, yeah, this is obviously very powerful. It's putting tears in my eyes with how motivational it is, but what does it have to do with anything? It doesn't address anything. It does nothing. This is like if the feds came up to me and they're like, hey, Charlie, we caught you on camera burning down this Toys R Us. We know you're an arsonist. We have it right here. And my response is, I just love to create. I love to inspire and show unedited photos of myself. And if I can just inspire one person, then I'll have done what I set out on this earth to do. Hit him with the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse dance. Like, oh God, guess we got the wrong guy. He's not guilty, he just popped and locked on us.
We're all learning and growing, and more than anything, I'm beyond thankful for my family, friends, partnerships, and supporters.
I love how she
It's
shouts out her
something
sponsors
that
in the
I think a lot of
apology.
people my age can relate to. I hope this can inspire you.
Really appreciate Raid Shadow Legends through thick and thin here. Like, how can you not forgive her after this? I'm convinced she did nothing wrong. I was very inspired. Not a single apology here, making sure to let the sponsors know that she still appreciates them so they don't feel left out here. Overall, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. That is about as good as it gets, I'd say. The song she chose couldn't have been worse, I'd say. Like, the very end is, I did nothing wrong, I'm young, and she's accused of sexual assault. Like, this is probably not the song you'd want to use. Feels really off given the circumstance for why she's doing this. It's really a fucking weird choice. It almost feels like she's rubbing Jack's face in the whole situation. She makes herself the victim and then tries to spin this whole thing as a way of making herself like the hero of the story. Like, I had to take a whole month off social media, but now I'm back to inspire. Now, even beyond this horribly choreographed Broadway dance number, she released a series of videos saying the allegations were false and lies, just outright denying any of it ever happened, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. So the whole thing has been just a big, gross mess. But yeah, I mainly just wanted to show you that apology because I think it's going to be a pretty tough one for someone to beat. This was very egotistical, and it wasn't an apology. I don't know why I even keep calling it that. This was her, like, victim blaming and making the whole situation a way of trying to like become more popular from it almost. I don't know. It was just fucking stupid, and I just had to at least show you all this whole situation, and that's about it. So yeah. What's up, everybody? It's Critikal. I'm making this to say that I'm sorry. I was wrong. I fucked up. Last year, T. Martin made an apology video where he almost kind of apologized for scamming 8-year-olds into wasting money on his shit-ass CSGO website, and I called it the worst apology video that could have ever been made, and I was wrong, because social repose has blown that shit out of the water with this new humdinger here. So this man right here who looks like Marilyn Manson's asshole is a YouTuber by the name of Social Repose, and he was dating another YouTuber named Jacqueline Glynn, and he cheated on her, and obviously she's very upset, so she made a video about the whole situation to update people, and that prompted him to make his own response to it, and it's fucking abysmal. I'm not going to make the bold claim I did last year and say it's the worst that could be ever given on this site, but damn, you're going to have a hard time topping this one. You've got your work cut out for you if you're trying to make a bad apology this year.
Yeah, I fucked up. I'm definitely going to lose some fans. I'm going to lose some friends. But there's two sides to every story. I wouldn't really call this a defense.
Yeah, you're right. This can't be a defense because there's no way you could defend yourself here. But that doesn't stop him from trying. He's out here looking like the Joker about to deliver a monologue. You want to know how I got this gonorrhea?
So I guess I would like to explain some things. All the brutal graphic details that she explained to everyone. So I'd like to give some very descriptive details of my own. Not to slander Jacqueline or anything, just to kind of, I guess, give you a deeper context.
But why? How could having a deeper understanding of the context provide any type of justification for the cheating? I doubt it was some type of heroic sacrifice where the girl you fucked had a bomb in her pussy that would destroy the city if you didn't defuse it by sticking your cock in there. It really just seems like he's doing this out of spite because Jacqueline went into such brutal detail as he described, so he kind of just did this to try and throw some shit at her that would make her look kind of bad. He actually even deleted her comment on this video. I don't know entirely what the comment said, I just saw a picture of it and I only got a little snippet, but it was her kind of disproving some of the points he's about to make. And naturally, if you're making an apology to someone, the next logical step is then to remove that comment from the person you're apologizing to really let them know that you're sorry.
I do deeply regret it.
Honestly, some pretty shitty acting from him during this arc of the anime. It sounds like some House of the Dead 2 voice acting here.
It kind of was a classic case of social media, showing the best parts of your relationship on social media, so everyone thinks everything's just peaches and roses all the time, and it's just not. It's a lie. We were happy, but there's obviously a dark side to everything, clearly.
I truly have no idea what point he was trying to make with this here. Oh, just a classic case of us showing the best parts. None of you had any ideas I was actually cheating on her behind her back. Just a classic case of one of those things, you know?
Because I did cheat on her, just like I did my ex-girlfriend, which everyone knows about because of our best friend.
I don't really see what there is to giggle about there. Oh, ha ha ha, you guys remember when I did this last time? Thanks to our best friend that blew that case wide open. Ha ha ha, classic best friend. Yeah, I betrayed a lot of people. Ha ha ha.
I met Jacqueline, and she was perfect. She was an atheist. I don't know, she cared so much about me and just everything that I did, and I did care about her, and I don't know, everything just made sense.
I cut a few things out here, but it really served no purpose. I don't even see why he would talk about it unless he was really trying to stretch this video past 10 minutes for ad revenue, which would be an incredibly douchebaggy thing to do, but I wouldn't put it by modern YouTube creators. What he was saying is he vowed never to have another public relationship since he cheated on his last girlfriend, but then he met Jacqueline and obviously had a public relationship. And he also talked about another promise he made a while back where he said he would never ever cheat on anyone ever again, and he was wrong. Just like my father when he said I would be 6'5" when I grew up. My dad is 6'5", my mother is 5'2", so luckily I split the fucking difference and I'm 5'6", so I'm really short for a 23-year-old man, and it really fucking sucks. Why couldn't I be 6 foot, Dad? Huh? Why couldn't I at least get close to your 6'5" towering Chad height? But anyway, I love this line from Social Repose. She was perfect. She was an atheist. What a low bar of entry to being perfect in this man's eyes. In this moment, I am euphoric because girl atheism. Yippee. Fucking, I don't know anything about these two, and I'm sure Jacqueline's a great girl for a lot more than just being an atheist. I imagine there's gotta be a lot more to somebody to make them perfect than just being a fucking atheist. But for some reason, this man cares so little about her, he couldn't think of any more good qualities other than her atheism. That's just fucking sad, really.
And she kind of took me on with the thought that she could fix me, and that, you know, there's a lot of good parts that she saw in me. And you know, I commend her for that, but at the same time, you know, everyone did warn her, and...
What an ironclad defense, fucking bulletproof. Jacqueline, you knew what you were getting into. People warned you. You should have expected this from me. You knew this was going to happen. You shouldn't have been surprised. You knew I was going to put my small pee-pee into other lady buttholes. This shouldn't have come as a surprise. This is your fault. It's incredible. He kind of just blames her for this whole thing happening. You should have expected it. This was going to happen, and people told you.
Unbalance in the relationship even early on, which terrified me, and I could never bring it up to her. All the way, we dated for 11 months, and I could never talk to her about it just because I was so afraid, because she got so attached to me so quickly. She was just, it's almost like she just, after month 2 or 3, she was like ready to settle down with me and ready to get a house, and it just seemed so perfect, and I was like, what are you doing? What do you...
From the comment Jacqueline left, the snippet I saw, this is the part she was disproving. Apparently this wasn't a thing that happened. It was him that brought up the idea of moving in together or some shit. It doesn't really matter either way who's right or wrong on that subject, because this point is just moot. It serves absolutely no purpose in this video. It looks like this man's skin is about to fall off of his fucking body here. He's like a reptilian shedding here. His flaky, dry skin, I think he's suffering from extreme psoriasis or something, but this man needs some moisturizer ASAP. His face just must be made out of paper mache, and it's starting to crack now.
I just would like to say that I'm sorry to anyone that looks up to me or that follows me.
Well, I'm glad you've apologized to the misguided teenagers that for some reason think you're a good role model. That's very nice of you. How about an apology to Jacqueline? At no point throughout this entire thing does he say, I am sorry for what I did, Jacqueline. I didn't hear that phrase. If you're gonna apologize, fucking apologize. Here, take some notes to any of you out there that may have fucked up and are thinking about doing a YouTube apology video. A, don't do that. And B, if you really feel so inclined, the Lord has chosen you to make this great apology video, then do these things. Actually apologize for it. Say you fucked up and you're going to work on fixing it. Tell how you're going to work on fixing it. And again, apologize for the fucking thing that happened. This man goes on a 10-minute rant about shit that doesn't matter. The next part of this he talks about is content on his channel. Why? What is the point? The video is supposed to be an apology to Jacqueline about what happened. I cut a lot out to this point, but basically he drew the conclusion that he shouldn't be in relationships, he's not good at them. He also speculates that maybe he has a sex problem and should get help, but then says he doesn't believe in getting help. So about 9 minutes of this 10-minute video are just empty, useless words. He could have bent over and just farted into the camera for 9 minutes and it would have had the same impact of the shit he talks about in here. Fucking useless.
And it's clearly I'm a careerist. I'm so deeply entrenched in social repose just as an entity that it comes first. It comes before all my love and relationships and even family to an extent. This is my life. I've chosen it, and I put my all into it.
Oh, you poor hero. All the sacrifices you made to make mediocre YouTube content. Goddamn. My hat's off to you, social repos. If only we Cro-Magnon understood what it meant to be in your shoes, all of the women you've had to fuck behind your girlfriend's back. Damn, we would have so much more appreciation for the art you create here. You certainly are an expert careerist by cheating on a YouTube personality that's pretty fucking big, and then taking all of this negativity to your channel, losing a lot of subs. Man, you've really got careerism figured out, social repos. Take notes out there, any up-and-comers. This man's got it down to a science.
I'm a little hurt that she kind of broadcasted everything. I'm not hurt that she talked about the cheating. I knew she would have to talk about that at some point, but to go into such graphic detail feels a little unnecessary. But it's out there, so.
Oh damn, now I feel bad. He's hurt that she talked about it to such an extent. I mean, there was a set amount that he was okay with and that he would have given his blessing to, but to go past that, that's a bit disrespectful, Jacqueline. You really hurt his feelings with this. I hope you understand. And honestly, he made such a convincing argument, I'm convinced he's the victim in all this. Jacqueline made it all public, and it really hurt his reputation.
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry. I'm sorry I let you guys down. I'm going to do better. I'm going to make more art and more music, and if you don't want to follow me anymore because you think I'm a shitty person or because I'm disgusting or because you can't stand the thought of ever watching me again because of what I did to Jacqueline, I can't make you stay, but I promise you I'll do better with my videos and my content, and I'm
Once again, just apologizing to the audience that found out, not to Jacqueline, but at least he's promising to do better with his content, so I'm looking forward to his Minecraft Let's Plays that he's going to steer towards. And yeah, just overall an absolutely atrocious apology here. I cut a lot out, but there was a big rant about the content on his channel and how he was unsatisfied with it, so at least he understood what the big issue here, which was his content starting to slip up, not the cheating. That was just secondary. It's really all about the content, but he's promising to do better content, so yeah, that's about it. This guy seems like a big douchebag to me. So yeah. It just wouldn't feel right if 2023 didn't conclude with at least one more horrible YouTuber apology video, and luckily, Krampus did not let us down, delivering a nice lump of coal under the tree. This had been a year filled to the brim, the cup runneth over, on bad YouTuber apology videos. I was a naive fool to think that we had seen the last of apology videos for 2023, and how wrong was I? In the fourth quarter here, the last week or so of 2023, we were blessed with one more from James Somerton. He was featured prominently in H-Bomber Guy's newest video on plagiarism. I'm sure all of you have seen this video by now. If you haven't, that is shocking to hear and should probably go check it out. And I'm not going to recap the whole video, but I will give you a brief synopsis of James Somerton's role in it. But basically, James Somerton was pretty much caught with his hand in the cookie jar, plagiarizing his entire online content, fundamentally. It also goes even deeper than the plagiarism. He was accused of multiple other bad things in regards to his content and claims he was making, and a bunch of other variety of things. And in response to that, James went dark. He went off the grid, bought a log cabin in the middle of the woods, grew out a lumberjack's beard, he bought a Hoover from, Breaking Bad, and he disappeared. So he went offline, and then a couple days ago posted a surprise apology video going over all of it, which he deleted a couple hours later when it didn't get the response he was expecting it to. But it's been re-uploaded, and I kind of wanted to cover it a little bit just because it feels right. 2023 had so many of these. We've got to usher in 2024 the right way with an apology video to kick us off getting into the new year. So let's take a peek.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry for taking so long to make this video or to say anything. I'm in the hospital. I've been in the hospital for a little over a week.
Call me John Madden because I'm going to walk you through the play in this playbook here. It's called Emotional Manipulation. It's a timeless classic. There is no reason he should be starting this video with this story here. He uses this technique multiple times throughout the video and doesn't really even address the accusations head on. It's mainly a lot of deflection. But what I want to focus on is just how hard he leans on trying to garner sympathy through this. Now, it's always sad to see someone struggling and going through a hard time and contemplating extremely terrible things with their life, but it's not something that you need to be sharing online in this capacity, and it's also not something most people would be comfortable sharing online, especially in response to things like this, because it comes across as very insincere and disingenuous and kind of like using it as though it makes you immune to criticism because now you've gone through this, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much what his whole audience said too. Even the ones that were trying to rally behind him, hoping for a real explanation, this left a very bad taste in their mouth because it's completely unrelated to what should be being talked about, which is his plagiarism as well as the other things he's been accused of. He doesn't need to be sharing this information with us. This is a very private matter that he should have kept private.
I tried to do something really stupid. I'm really only here now because before I did it, I called my dad to talk to him one more time, and he figured out something was wrong and called paramedics or 911 or...
Once again, there is no reason to be telling this extremely personal story to your audience when this is supposed to be a video addressing all of the accusations against your content. It's just the only reason this is here is so that way people can sympathize with him and feel sorry for what he's been going through. And make no mistake, from what he describes here, it's an extremely horrible experience that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. But it has no place in this video. It just comes across as super fucking tone deaf here. Just talk about, if you want to make an apology video or explain your side of things, then do that. And don't go into the private side of what's been happening behind the scenes since the accusations came out.
They got here, and I woke up in the hospital, and yeah, anyway, I'm not trying to make this a sob story. I'm just trying to explain why I've been so quiet.
You spent the entire first minute and a half making it a sob story, though. That's not an accident, and you could have edited that out. It's here because you wanted it to be here, to start with immediately trying to get the waterworks going with people crying over how awful this experience is before you get into what's supposed to be your side and your apology over everything. It's just textbook emotional manipulation trying to make everyone feel bad for you, even though you were the guilty party who got caught, and this is you trying to talk about that, and you still haven't yet, even though we're already kind of deep into the video. Now, it is a 34-minute video, so a minute and a half isn't like the bulk of it, but he sprinkles this throughout the entire thing, so you can't really make a good argument that it's only here to try and explain why he took so long to make this video. A, you don't need to explain why you took so long. You really don't. If you really wanted to give an explanation, you could just make it super concise, like, hey, had stuff going on. Or this has been an extremely stressful period of time in my life from all of this, so I've taken some time to process everything, and now I feel comfortable going forward. Like, You didn't need to dive into it like this, and you didn't even need to explain why it took you that long in the first place. And on top of that, he does also still go over these really sad things in his life throughout the whole thing that aren't just there to explain why it took him so long to talk about all of this. So it really does feel like he's trying to emotionally manipulate people with his apology video. But even when he is done going through this story and actually trying to talk about what's been going on, he takes really no responsibility. He does say, "I'm sorry," a lot, but it feels kind of hollow when he starts throwing somebody else under the bus for things and then kind of belittling the whole situation itself, boiling it down to something far simpler than it is. Like, there were a lot of accusations against him, none of which he really defends himself on in any meaningful way whatsoever. It really feels like the main purpose of the video is to make the audience feel bad. Like, make them, like, blame them, basically, for what he's going through, as opposed to taking that responsibility for fucking up with plagiarizing his whole career.
Really, really sorry. Really, really sorry. For the stuff in the videos, not crediting people, and I lost my best friend because of this. Nick and I had been best friends since...
I don't think I really need to show you more of the video itself. You get the idea of exactly how this goes for the rest of the 30 minutes of it. It's just a really baffling decision to post this in the first place, and it's something he recognized pretty quickly when he saw the responses coming in, the Yelp reviews. So here's his community post addressing it. Earlier tonight, I uploaded a video apologizing for what I've done, but it's become clear after hearing from several people that I am not in a healthy frame of mind to be posting anything online. I only returned home from the hospital yesterday, so I should have never filmed it. I've deleted the video, but I'm sure it has been downloaded and will be shared by others online. I promise to apologize properly and in detail when I'm more mentally stable. Until then, please know that I am sorry. He understands that this wasn't a good idea, but insists that he is sorry and will return at a later date to make a better apology video. And I have to say, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Like, I don't understand why he's even going to bother trying. There is really nothing that's going to improve for his online career through an apology. His audience isn't going to stick around through it. They were there for his content, and his content was stolen. It was all plagiarized. Like, there's no reason for them to stay, and it's not something he can just move on for and keep pumping out bangers, because no one's going to believe that it's original work or anything that he himself created. So there's nothing he can possibly gain from even making an apology. He should just do something else that's not being a YouTuber, or find a completely different niche on YouTube to try and make it big in. Like, there's just nothing he can really do for the James Somerton brand here. So I don't know why he's going to try and make another apology video later. It just seems kind of silly to even bother. He doesn't have anything that proves him innocent from the claims. He really was kind of, caught pants around the ankle here. It's kind of kaput. Like, it is clear he plagiarized a lot of things, and there's a lot of other accusations on top of that as well from the way he conducted himself and some of the content, like in some of the things he said. And there's really not a whole lot he can do to come back from that and make this big triumphant comeback with an absolute fucking banger apology. That's just not going to happen. So why even do it? Just go do something else, man. Just move on from it. So yeah, I just wanted to cover this a little bit just because it's one more bad apology in 2023. I figured might as well complete the year the only way we know how, with bad YouTuber apologies. Yeehaw. That's about it. So yeah. Well, I never thought this day would come. A YouTuber just made an apology video worse than Sienna May's iconic interpretive dance. For those that don't remember, Sienna May was a TikToker accused of sexual assault, and for some reason she marched into the mines of Mordor and hatched the most diabolical plan of all time, forged the worst video apology ever, where it was an interpretive dance apology. So she starts fucking boogieing out there, doing some of this, a little bit of these, and by God, I'm ashamed to say it, but she even did some of this. Just kind of downplaying the entire situation. And keep in mind, It was sexual assault accusations that also had a video as well. So there was a ton of evidence, and she still just tried to do like an apology interpretive dance. I did not think there would ever come a time that someone makes a worse response than that, but hooey, how wrong I was.
Hey, it's been a while since you saw my face. I haven't been doing so great, so I took a little break. So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. Doesn't matter if it's true though, just as long as it's entertaining to you.
That bleeding in your ears is normal. This is a ukulele apology video. She's turned her accusations and her response into a Disney musical number here, I suppose. She's got a whole little Broadway moment here to sing and talk about it. Now, before getting into it, let me give some context on what she's apologizing for. Colleen Ballinger is most known for her Miranda Sings character. If you've been on YouTube for a long time, you've definitely heard that name before. She was a massive superstar on the platform. She even had her own Netflix show. And recently, another YouTuber named Adam McIntyre has really started to spearhead this information about her past and everything that's happened to them, as well as the group chat that she used to have with a lot of her fans that were minors, and the way she conducted herself. She's been accused of like asking for ass pics from her fans, and again, most of these fans were minors at the time. She'd even send really weird videos to them. It's just, there's been a ton of evidence of very unacceptable shit, so she's been accused of like grooming as well as being a predator, and this video that she made is her response to those very serious allegations.
All aboard the toxic gossip train. You're chugging down the tracks of misinformation. The toxic gossip train. You got a one-way ticket to manipulation station.
Nah, she's giving us a one-way ticket to defecation station, because this is some shit here. I don't know how she thought this was a good idea at all. She doesn't even disprove any of the allegations. She just calls it the toxic gossip train, like it's some kind of little musical number out of Magic School Bus or something that she's not taking seriously. In the face of very serious claims, she decides to put on the entire clown outfit and grab her trusty ukulele and go to battle. But it's not really a battle because she doesn't even really tackle any of the claims. She doesn't refute anything or defend herself. She just makes a song.
Toxic gossip train. Tie me to the tracks and harass me for my past. Cause rumors look like facts. If you don't mind the gaps, I won't survive in the crash. But hey, at least you're having fun.
I'm sorry to keep pausing this so frequently, I just have so much to say, and trust me, I'm really doing you a favor with all of these breaks here to give you a brief, like, respite from the fucking unbelievable cringe. Like, this is some pure, undiluted, unhinged delusion here. This is so strong, I feel like it needs to be added to the periodic table, like the element of delusion that she is displaying here. Like, this song is fucking haunted, honestly. This is like that track out of Courage the Cowardly Dog with Velvet Vic, where, like, sucks you into the record player. That's this song, but it sucks you into a group chat where she's, like, asking about your first period and asking for ass pics or something. But the reason I'm pausing it here is because this is something she falls back on a lot in the song, and I don't want to just keep playing too much of the song. She seems to think that a lot of people are taking pleasure in watching all of this and says, like, oh, it's all untrue, but you're just doing it because it's entertaining and you're having fun. I've never fully understood that perspective because I imagine most people don't have fun learning that people they grew up watching or people they were at least aware of being a big influence turned out to be absolute fucking scumbags. Groomers, predators, all these horrible things. Like, no one has fun with accusations like that, I don't think. Certainly not the victims of it. The victims of Miranda Sings, Colleen Ballinger here, definitely aren't having any fun here. This has been mentally damaging shit that they've carried for a long time. Now, I do think there is an argument to be made about, like, YouTuber apologies as entertainment. I made a whole fucking tier list on it. There is an element of fun to watching a completely disconnected from reality weirdo do something like Miranda Sings has done with this fucking singing apology. It's hard not to point and laugh at the absolute insanity of that situation. But in those cases, no one's laughing about the actual allegations. Nobody once someone in a position of power like Miranda sings Colleen Ballinger to turn out to be a groomer or a predator.
Hi everyone. I've been wanting to come online and talk to you about a few things. Even though my team has strongly advised me to not say what I want to say, I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say. So.
Holy shit, she's done it. She's activating 100% of her brain. What an incredible loophole. Checkmate, lawyers. Her legal team must have been there like, no! She got us. How did we not think of that? We never said she couldn't sing it. Damn, she's good.
Many years ago, I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way like a lot of you are trying to suggest. It was more of a loser kind of way, where I was just trying to be besties with everybody. There were times in the DMs when I would overshare details of my life, which was really weird of me. I haven't done that for years, you see, because I changed my behavior and I took accountability. Let's go on the toxic gossip train.
If you have anything to refute the claims, why don't you present it instead of doing your little talent show ukulele act? She's saying that this video, in the beginning of the song, she's saying that she's only going to be talking about the facts, and then provides nothing. The facts must have been out of town during the filming of this because she does not present them at all. She doesn't provide anything to refute any of the claims. All she does is say like, no, that's all wrong. Those aren't the facts. You guys are falling for the toxic gossip train. Misinformation super duper station. Whatever. Like, she doesn't actually provide any evidence, any counterpoints, nothing. All she does is just say that it's a lie. That's it. And I guess you're just supposed to take her at her word because she's singing it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. This is just invalidating to all of her victims. Like, she is, like, actually, like, laughing in their face with this video, I feel. It's pretty disgusting, actually. I don't understand how she thought this could possibly be perceived in any meaningful, positive way. Because, again, she doesn't defend herself. She doesn't refute any of the claims of all of, like, the grooming accusations. If she thinks that all of this is overblown or incorrect, why wouldn't she come forward with her evidence to support that and say, like, nope, this is where all of this is wrong, this is where it's false, this is where you've been lied to and manipulated. She doesn't do that. All she has here is this dumb little fucking song. I just can't even wrap my head around the thought process.
In all seriousness, I do think it's really important to hold people accountable for their mistakes. We should hope that everyone can learn from their mistakes and grow and change their behavior and be a better person. And this is something that I've always tried to do when I make mistakes, and it's something that I will continue to try to do. What? Oh, you don't care? Oh, okay. I thought you wanted me to take accountability, but that's not the point of your mob mentality, is it? No. Your goal is to ruin the life of the person you despise while you dramatize your lies and monetize their demise.
Once again, this is just like shitting on the victims that have come forward. There are tons and tons of messages as well as videos, like just an overwhelming amount of evidence that's all pretty damning on Colleen Ballinger's behavior from these group chats, as well as just a lot of other things over the years. And in the song, she just reduces that to, I was just a weird loser sending cringe. It was just a goofball doing loser weird stuff. And then still has the audacity to sing about how she's taking accountability? What the fuck? That's the opposite of accountability. You're minimizing, downplaying the very real harm you caused to your underage fans through these group chats, these interactions, and all the shit that you said and sent. That's not taking accountability. You are literally doing the exact opposite by saying, like, it's really not that big of a deal, it's just kind of weird, that's all. And then she goes in to just say about, like, this is just directly shitting on the victims. She goes then into the next part saying that the reason there's a mob mentality is because they're coming forward with all of these lies to monetize her demise because they don't like her. Well, Colleen Ballinger, let's supersize the McDonald's fries here. You're fucking insane. What are you talking about? How could you even, like, actually put this out there? I don't know how she could not only write this song, perform this song, and this is definitely not her first take, so go through this song multiple times, edit it, and then post this without realizing just how... I don't even know the right word. It's like almost downright evil she comes across. Because, again, this is like spitting in the face of all the victims that have come forward with a ton of evidence against her, saying it's not a big deal, they're wrong, they're just doing it for clout. It's so sickening.
Yeah. I feel like I can already already hear the comments on this video. She's gaslighting, manipulating. She's a narcissist and a rat. I would never make a mistake like that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that all of you are perfect, so please criticize me. Bring out the daggers made from your perfect past and stab me repeatedly in my bony little back.
This is gonna come as a surprise. This is gonna be shocking. But yeah, most people aren't making mistakes like this. This isn't one of those like whoops-a-daisy mistakes that everyone makes in their life. Most normal people are going to go through their life without ever doing anything close to what you're accused of doing. Talking sexually with minors in a group chat, sending used underwear to kids. The list goes on, and she beats this point home about like how she's just made like a little mistake here and it doesn't make her a bad person. But this is, again, one of those mistakes that like actually does make you a bad person. This isn't like a little mistake. Like, she makes it sound like, oh, you don't have the right to criticize me because you're not perfect, your past isn't perfect. But most people's past isn't exactly one that's plagued by degeneracy like this. So, no one's perfect, of course, but that doesn't mean that people don't have the right to criticize you for just how ridiculously awful the shit that you are accused of doing is, and also how terrible this response is.
I'm sure you're disappointed in my shitty little song. I know you wanted me to say that I was 100% in the wrong. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take that route of admitting to lies and rumors that you made up for clout.
Once again, just hawking a big fat loogie in the face of every victim that came forward here. If these are all lies and just rumors, why don't you prove your side of it? Why don't you provide any evidence beyond just a song that says things without showing things or proving things? There is nothing presented here that refutes a single claim at all. She's just singing things. And that's it. That's not evidence. The video and song goes on for like another 4 or 5 minutes, but she just keeps saying the same thing about how it's all lies and manipulation, but she doesn't prove any of that. Why wouldn't you want to like actually clear your name? I don't know what she thought this song would do. It doesn't offer any kind of explanation for anything to clear up what she's calling lies and rumors. It's nothing. There is mountains of like actual messages and videos of her engaging in very, very bad behavior, very awful things, which has led to people labeling her things like a groomer and a predator, which she really doesn't like, but that's what all of these documents lead towards, point towards, and she does nothing to refute any of it, except make this absolutely embarrassing song out of it. It's baffling. I couldn't believe this shit today. So yeah, like I said, I'm not going to play the rest of the video because she just keeps saying, it's all lies, it's just rumors, it's ridiculous, I can't believe you guys fell for it. But doesn't provide any kind of actual counterpoints or evidence or anything, so it's fucking useless. This is, I do think, the new worst YouTuber apology video, and that's not an easy feat to have accomplished, so that's wild. That's really about it. So yeah. Today, Will Smith posted a YouTube apology video for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars, and when I saw it, I had to scratch my head and wonder why. It happened so long ago. I was confused. Why is he apologizing now? I felt like Robin Williams coming out of Jumanji asking what year it was, and then I remembered that happened this year. It was 4 months ago that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock's head clean off his shoulders at the Oscars. He turned an award ceremony into a public execution when he blasted Chris Rock to Valhalla, just banishing him to the Shadow Realm with a slap. Mm-hmm. Oh baby, that's right. He starts this with the most generic YouTuber apology intro imaginable. A slow walk into a big sigh right before getting into the actual apology. Textbook. He's clearly been trained by some of the YouTuber apology greats like Logan Paul, Laura Lee, Tati. I mean, this is perfection here. Every box of YouTuber apology cliche gets ticked immediately except for one. He didn't bring his dog into it. A lot of YouTubers like to bring in an animal in order to, deflect some of the criticism with cuteness with the animal. Will Smith, unfortunately, must have forgot that prop this time around, but Everything else, he nails.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy.
So the main thing he's doing in the apology video here is answering questions that people have asked over the last 4 months. And again, I have to wonder, why even bother? It's been 4 months on internet time. That's basically ancient history. Like, that's back there with like Y2K now. Most people have moved on and forgotten about it. So it's a little weird to be this tardy to the party with addressing these things. Now, of course, I understand this was like a career-ruining moment for him, so he wants to do his best to be perceived positively again, both by movie execs as well as the general public. So if he really did feel strongly enough that he wants to apologize, then all power to him. But anyway, the first question that he addresses here is one that I don't think anyone with half a brain ever asked in the first place. Why didn't you apologize to Chris during your acceptance speech? The answer should be pretty obvious if you have eyes. It's because he was still mad. He was still fuming. Of course he wasn't going to apologize for it. Literally 15 minutes before he accepted that award, he had just charged the stage like The Undertaker during WrestleMania going into the ring and clobbered Chris. So of course he's not going to immediately like fold and be like, man, sorry Chris, that was out of line. He was still upset. That's why he didn't apologize. I don't really understand his excuse of I was still, in a fog. It was all still fuzzy. Like in the moment that makes sense, but over the last 4 months, what, you've just been in a perpetual fog? You've been in like the upside down or something? Like, what do you mean? You've had 4 months if you wanted to publicly apologize to Chris and you didn't. And even to be fair here, you still don't. He says I'm sorry to a lot of people, but the one person he doesn't say the words I'm sorry to is Chris.
I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
That almost sounds like a trap, like, hey, I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. And it turns out Will's been training for the last 4 months with slap boxing, so he's been like slapping brick walls until they collapse, so he's ready to really get him with like a double whammy, get him with that encore performance. There's a big difference between saying, I apologize to you, and I'm sorry. I don't think people really understand the value of just saying, I'm sorry. I think it's the most important thing to say during an apology, which he does say later on to other people, but never Chris. To Chris, he just says, I apologize, and the action was unacceptable. Which is, that's good, that's definitely a start, but I really think you needed that cherry on top here of an I'm sorry. This is also just one of those things that should have been handled privately. I'm sure there were plenty of ways in the pipeline to let Chris know that you were genuinely remorseful for what happened, but I understand why he thought this was a good idea. I'm going to make a video coming forward, publicly apologizing and owning up to my mistakes, letting people see how horrible I feel and what I'm doing to change and be better. The thought process makes sense. Let people see a vulnerable side of you and let them know that you made a mistake and you know that. And that, it again, does make sense to anyone who's never been on the internet. I think one thing most people online are starting to understand and wake up to is that when you make an apology video, you lose. It's like what war games taught us. The only winning move is not to play. When you make an apology video, it is a lose-lose situation for you. You're either going to have people that don't believe that you're actually sorry, or they're going to have people that think that you didn't need to apologize in the first place, so now you look stupid. You look like a pussy. Which I'm already seeing with Will Smith's apology, like, why is he apologizing? He stood up for his wife. Does he not support his wife anymore? Oh my god, I've lost all respect for Will with this apology now. And then on the other side of that coin is, man, Will really needed to apologize, but this apology video was so dog shit, he missed the mark entirely. This is the worst apology video I've ever seen in my life. You just don't win with an apology, so again, this should have just been private.
3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment.
You slapped the shit out of a man. It's not that deep. Talking about it like it's the most complex situation of all time. Like this slap was somehow, like a Cold War or something here. It was a simple act that affected a decent chunk of people. Chris, most notably, I would say, was physically affected by the slap, but Will's career was also hurt by it. Chris's family was probably pretty upset by it. Like, yes, of course, people were affected by it, but it's not like there needs to be like 4 months spent of just digesting this giant web that all spawned from a slap. Because, again, at the end of the day, it's really not that deep.
After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. It's like, you know, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it.
Jada was behind the camera with a teleprompter and a gun, making sure this question was addressed properly. Of course, I'm kidding. Jada just has very odd moments publicly with Will that I think are very tasteless in the things she says to and about Will. And it's the reason why a lot of people felt like she may have contributed to this overreaction from Will. You know, her rolling her eyes and then just having all of that context with the things she has said publicly about and to Will just made people wonder whether or not she was somehow involved in that decision from Will. But he's clearing the air here, saying that it was just him doing it. And you know what? I'll take his word for it. I think this was just an impulsive decision here. I don't think Jada has some kind of device that she can control Will's brain like something out of Dexter's lab. I really think he just completely overreacted and went fucking berserk here for some reason. And I don't think Jada is necessarily guilty of that, but I do think she is guilty of being a very toxic partner. I know that sounds parasocial to say, but the amount of clips and videos of Jada just shitting on Will to his face is baffling. Like the time where she was just talking about cheating right to him and how much she like enjoyed it or whatever during their red table talk. Oh my god, it's so hard to sit through. As Will's like in tears about it and she's just joking. Oh man, it's fucking brutal. And so now Will looks like a cuck. I mean, I'm just not a big Jada fan. I'll say it. I don't think she's that nice.
What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down?
Let me just stop you right there. You don't have to apologize to me. I found this whole thing to be highly entertaining. I thought this was extremely goofy, and no one seriously got injured or anything like that. This was just an absolute fucking wild moment. And honestly, for this section, he should have just said, "You're welcome," you know, to the journalist that wouldn't stop fucking writing about it, like a million articles all going deep into it for no fucking reason, talking about how this is setting a bad precedent and how in the next Oscars, all of a sudden people might be showing up there with battle axes to attack their critics, how journalists are no longer safe, you know, this and that. Like, he honestly should have just said, "You're welcome," for the 2 weeks of just articles and videos about it. Now, of course, there were super fans of Will that were disappointed to see this, and I think it's cute that he said that he was sorry for it and letting them down. He apologized to Chris's family, his family for the negative backlash they've faced. He apologized to pretty much everyone that was directly impacted by it. And now in this section, he's talking about how horrible he feels when he doesn't live up to people's image of him. And I will say he does seem pretty sincere for the most part. But again, it's been 4 months. Most people have moved on. This was pretty unnecessary. Though I'm sure a lot of people that did feel like really disappointed appreciate the gesture.
Disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. Deeply remorseful. And I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human. And I made a mistake.
But yeah, he finishes it off by saying that he is remorseful and he's, working on being better. And if you stick with him, you can all be friends again. And that's basically where it concludes. Overall, I don't think it's like the worst apology ever, especially in the tier list of YouTuber apologies. I think this one was one of the more sincere ones, at least from everything I've seen from it. Unless I've been deceived by his great acting, I couldn't tell you. But this is just one of those situations that is so wild to me. why do this 4 months later? If he had done this like a day, 2 days, even a week after this happened, I think the reception to it would have been much better than it currently is. Yes, it still has, I think, a pretty positive reception overall from like his actual like dedicated fans, but the general consensus I'm seeing here is, why is he doing this? This seems very fake to do it now. It's way too late. We've all moved on, this and that. So again, you don't really win with an apology video, but if he'd at least made like a statement like this, a big statement like this, right after it happened, I think he would have been in a much better position now than he is currently, if that makes sense. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this since the slap is the gift that just keeps on giving. Somehow, there is still developments with that whole story that keep happening. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.